Oh, our word of the day is really there's so many great words that are in today's readings, and Deacon Dan Brahier is on with us right now. Deacon, how are you this morning?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Is it foggy where you are?
It was this morning first thing, but it's cleared off now. So I was kind of surprised by that. I got up. I was out this morning about 6:30, and I went, "Wow, it's kind of hard to see the end of the street." So
yeah,
it's getting
thicker in some spots than others, and it comes and goes too.
For sure, for sure. And you guys are holding down the fort well.
Well, we're holding down the fort.
It's because I can sit down, and I do have a little more girth to me, kind of an offensive lineman frame, so that helps.
Usually, a corner piece will go loose. We'll have to go down and pound it down. But,
There you go. There you go. Well, you're right. There were a lot of good words in these readings today. Both of them are so deep. We're going to go to the gospel, and our word for the day is offense. 1974, 50 years ago, the comedian Don Rickles said to then Governor Ronald Reagan, "You're a politician. The rest of us are all working for one cause, to figure out how you became a governor." So Don Rickles, as we know, was kind of the master of offending people.
Yes.
Nobody did it like he did, and he'd find anything from your life, whether it's your nationality, your faith, whatever, and he would just pick on you. He made a living out of that, and he always considered himself an equal opportunity offender, he teased everybody. But that type of humor doesn't fly as well today. And it doesn't fly as well because we live in a world where people sometimes feel like everything we say or everything we do are going to offend someone. And sometimes it feels like we're walking on eggshells. If I say this, they might not like it, or if I say that, it might not go over well. And so we've become just almost kind of soft, if you will. And so what we've seen is in our world, we see the evolution of even things like language. An example from my world of education, the word master. For 1,000 years, that word has meant a teacher or something that is great. So in education, we use the term master teacher as a great teacher, or the idea of mastering an objective, or a schoolmaster as being the greatest teacher, if you will, in the school. But suddenly, society has associated the word master with slavery, which I understand. It certainly was used as a term during the time of slavery because a slave owner was known as a master. But now today it's become offensive to use that term in any way. We can't even say, for example, master bedroom anymore because that is a trigger for the word master. But yet that's not what it originally meant. So the idea here is that what has happened in our world is that people take offense pretty easily to things that are going on. So if you look it up in the dictionary, that word taking offense means to become angry by something another person has said or done. And psychologists say that we're offended when something is said or done that contradicts or challenges what we believe or what we value, and we feel like we're being attacked. So the idea of offending and taking offense has to do with what is it that I believe or value, and is somebody actually saying something or doing something that contradicts that. And so what happens in today's gospel is that Jesus is teaching in the synagogue, and as he's teaching, it says that the people there took offense to him. In other words, they were offended by him. Now, we don't know exactly why, but there's two possible reasons I can think of why they might have been offended. One is that what he was teaching in the temple was challenging their beliefs. And so the psychologists would say if he's challenging their beliefs, it's going against the grain of what they think, and so they're going to strike back against him. The other is that they realize that he is, as they say later in the gospel, he is only the son of a carpenter. He's the son of Mary. And it bothers him that such an ordinary man could be so wise. And that contradicts their belief about whether anything good can come out of Nazareth, as we hear about in John's gospel. So either way, if for some reason the people are offended by what he's doing. And so we can kind of appreciate how the Jews would have been offended by Jesus healing, for example, in the Sabbath in Mark chapter 3. They strongly believe that no work of any kind should ever be done on a Sunday. And Jesus did it anyway. And so that challenged their belief about what they're supposed to do on a Sunday, and it got them so angry they went out and plotted and try to figure out how to kill him. So notice when Jesus offends the people in the temple today, he doesn't say, "Oh gosh, I offended them. I'm so sorry. I'll quit teaching." Instead it says he just packed up his bags and moved to the next town because he realized, okay, they don't have enough faith here. I'm going to move on to another place that does have more faith and won't be so offended by my presence. And so I always think about that as, being Catholic is countercultural. And since it will oftentimes challenge the beliefs of others when we come out with our faith, we may end up offending someone, but it doesn't mean that we quit. And we don't go out in our world and deliberately try to offend people. But the fact is that should not, if it runs counter to their beliefs and they get upset about that, that shouldn't deter us from continuing to believe what we believe and trying to spread the gospel message. And so I think the other part of it is we take time today to think a little bit and analyze about what offends us. What is it that offends and is my trigger, and whether that's justified? Because I think sometimes we can find areas in our own lives where we might be overly sensitive, where we are not open to a criticism or correction or whatever, and it causes us to reject even the truth, which is exactly what the people are doing in the gospel today. Jesus is speaking the truth, and they reject the truth because it just runs counter to what they believe. And so I think sometimes we just need to think a little bit about what we believe and how it impacts us when people say things that run counter to where we stand.
Boy, so true, and so many look for reasons to be offended. I mean, we see that so often. And confronting people with something that, as you say, kind of counters their own belief set, what a great opportunity for us, because we can get offended in a variety of ways from a variety of different media sources. What about our beliefs that make us be offended? So a good opportunity for us.
Yeah, I think so. I read a thing yesterday about how the EU is adopting this new thing where they're trying to take gender out of everything. And so it would not be allowed to say, for example, that we were in no man's land. You'd have to call it an unsettled place or something like that, because you just can't use that word because it might offend somebody. We've gone too far.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Deacon Dan, you've done it again. You've knocked it out of the park, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to next week's chat.
Thanks, Ron. You too. Bye-bye.
And thanks for joining us for the Wednesday morning offering. We'll be back on Thursday, God willing.